Alright guys, Matt from House of Geeks, and today we're going to do a review and a breakdown of the Index Xenos 1 book. So I'm quickly going to talk about obviously the indexes in general. Obviously Games Workshop announced 8th edition. People worried that you wouldn't be able to use your 7th edition armies, and obviously the new 8th edition. So Games Workshop's basically resolution for that was to make these index books slightly different to what they did to Age of Sigmar. So with Age of Sigmar they released the free the rule set, which was free for download. I believe the 8th edition is also free for download, or you can go in and buy the book. I bought the book. Well, actually I bought the what's it called? Dark Imperium? Yeah. I bought the Dark Imperium box and I got the rule book in there. I also downloaded the rules anyway, just in case. It's just easier to carry around if I just need to take the rules around. And then they released the index books. There is, I believe, 5 index books. So there's Imperium 1, Imperium 2, Xenos 1, Xenos 2, and I believe it's Chaos is the 5th one. Each index has been split down to have a number of units, not units, sorry, a number of armies, sorry, per codex. So in the Xenos 1, it is Craftworld Eldar, Drukhari, which is Dark Eldar, Yennari, which is a combination of Craftworlds, Dark Eldar, and Harlequins. And you've got Harlequins in here, standalone Harlequins, and Necrons. I think it's a really good idea that they did these. It'd have been nice if they were free. Obviously you've already got your codex and your army books and all that from 7th edition, and then you've had to go out and buy these. It's not too bad because it is only £15, but it would have been a nice gesture for them to give you the option to download your rules for free or buy the book, like they did with the 8th edition codex, 8th edition army book. Not army book, 8th edition rule book. My brain stopped working there. So yeah, it'd have been nice if they gave you the option to either download it for free or buy it in book form, but they didn't, so it's just literally buy it in book form. Like I say, it was only £15, it wasn't such a bad buy, but it'd been nice to be given the option. They are nice books. The only main criticism I would give it is if you already own one of your designated army index books, like me, you will hate the layout. I think it's laid out really poor. Each army's got its own section, so quickly say, I don't know, what we've got here. Let's do Dark Eldar, that's what we're basically going to be reviewing today. So your Dark Eldar is this section up to here. So that's all your rules for Dark Eldar. Like that's all your HQs, troops, elites, fast attack, heavy support. I'd say Lord of War, but Dark Eldar still don't have any Lords of War. So that's all your sections for rules per model and equipment and things like that. And then if you want your actual points for match play, which is what I'll be doing, which is what I have been doing, you then have to flip right to the back to this section. So you've got all your points here, here, and obviously points for equipment. Now you have to point everything up, so you have to point your model. So a standard Carbolite warrior will be here. You then have to pay for his rifle. Some of them are 0 points, some of them just come as standard, but you still have to look. So it's a lot of flicking back and forth. And then if you want to know what the weapons actually do, there's a war gear section in the back here. So it really is a lot of flicking to and forth, especially for a new edition. Because you're learning the new rules, you're learning the new rule set, you're learning what each rule does for your new 8th edition army. So yeah, you're having to flick literally back and forth in the book. I mean, the games that I've played, I feel as though I spent maybe almost half the game flicking through the book, trying to remind myself what the new stats were, what the new war gear does, things like that. I think the better option for them to do would have just put like the points and the war gear in with the army. So that's all your army rules, like I said, so all your troops, HQs, all this, that and the other. and then just to put all your war gear and weapons options and points just at this section here, the back, because obviously then it just goes straight onto Harlequins, and then you, like I say, just forever having to flick through. So that's my only gripe with the book. Again, like I say, if you feel the same way, you know, please comment and let me know that I'm not the only one. The people I've spoken to have said exactly the same thing. So yeah, let's just hope that they fix that issue when they do the actual codexes eventually. So that's a quick review of the index book in general. What I'm going to review now is my first passion for 40k armies, which will be my Dark Eldar. Right, so we're going to go straight into it now. So we're going to go to the Dark Eldar section here. Right, okay, Dark Eldar section. Special rules, you've still got your power from pain, which is really nice, really handy. I'm glad they've still kept that. It's still one of their main appeals to me for their army. It's like an army special rule basically. Every army has their own special rule. Dark Eldars is just power from pain. I really like the way they kept their individuality, being able to keep this special rule. So the power from pain is it's the same kind of principle. So turn 1 you get a buff, turn 2 you get an additional buff, turn 3 additional buff, 4, 5, and so on and so on. So power from pain special rules. Turn 1, roll a d6 each time a model suffers a wound. On a 6 it ignores the injury and the wound is lost. So basically that means it's basically an old feel no pain. So you get your normal save or you're invulnerable, because you obviously like previous edition you choose which one you're going to take. If you fail that, you then get to ignore the wound on a 6. Now according to Games Workshop's recent FAQ, how it now works is if you are shot with a las cannon, we'll keep it simple, the las cannon hits, the las cannon wounds, you fail your invulnerable save, so you will take d6 damage. Now you don't roll this to ignore the d6 damage, you roll after. So the las cannon rolls a 6, unfortunately, so that means you've taken 6 wounds, so you've taken 6 damage. This is the point where you roll to see if you ignore those wounds. So you have to roll 6 dice, needing 6s, unfortunately. How we used to play it before Games Workshop FAQ'd it is you rolled a 6 and you ignore the wound completely before you roll d6 damage. It's now done after that. So it's not great, but at least it's there. So it's better than nothing. Turn 2, you can reroll dice when determining how far this unit with this ability moves when it advances or charges. So you can basically reroll advances and reroll charge moves. Very much kitted out to getting to your opponent very quickly. Because obviously if you're advancing, you're moving pretty far towards your opponent, and you can reroll charges. So kitted out towards combat. Next one, this is turn 3. You can add 1 to hit rolls made for a unit with this ability in the fight phase. Again, very combat orientated. You add 1 to the dice roll, so if you hit on 3s, when you get to turn 3 you're actually hitting on 2s, which is really good for combat units. I wish it was just you add 1 to hit rolls in the shooting or fight phase, rather than it just be specifically kitted out for combat. But hey ho, you know, we've got plenty of combat units. We've got witches, grotesques, incubi, Rax, Talos, Kronos, you know, we've got plenty of combat units there to use. And the 4th one, units with this ability automatically pass morale tests. So the morale phase, which we spoke about in my review on 40k, and people that have already played a few games now of 8th edition know how deadly the morale phase can actually be. Well, as of turn 4 you just completely ignore it. So yeah, that's pretty good. That affects obviously every unit with the power from pain special rule, so yeah, I was quite happy with that one. 5th and final one is Mantle of Agony. Subtract 1 from the leadership of enemy units that are within 6 inches of any unit with this ability. So if you've got power from pain and it's turn 5, every enemy unit within 6 inches is -1 leadership. And that's really cool, really good. Obviously makes your opponent, if he's taken morale test, flee a lot quicker. But again, it's kitted out for models getting close to your enemy, so the Power from Pain table is really kitted out for combat units. So if you want the best use out of this table, you're going to be getting into combat as quick as you can do. So at the bottom here, we're going to go into combat drugs. So combat drugs here, it states that you can roll on the table, or you can choose. Now the difference between rolling and choosing is if you roll, it's obviously random, but you could, if you've got 2 units that have combat drugs, and you roll a 2 for the first one and a 2 for the second one, you keep it. If you choose it, you can't choose this same combat drug for 2 units unless you have more than 6 units. So basically, let me explain it. If you have 1 unit of witches and 1 unit of Reaver jet bikes, you can't give them both +1 toughness. So you're going to have to give 1 +1 toughness, and the other one's going to have, I don't know, +1 strength. The only way you can double up on combat drugs, so by taking the same combat drug twice, is if you have more than 6 units, because you can only choose combat drugs per unit. If you go over the 6, which is obviously the 6 combat drugs here, you can then choose another. You can then choose one that's already been chosen. So you're going to have, say, I don't know, if you've got 6 units of 5 witches, one of them is going to have +2 leadership, one of them is going to have +1 weapon skill, one's going to have +1 toughness, one's +2 move, other one's +1 strength, and the other one's +1 attack. Your 7th unit that you choose that can take combat drugs, be it Hellions, Reaver jet bikes, or another unit of witches, or Blood Brides, you can then go back and choose a duplicate one. So the combat drugs are, I basically ran through them really quickly there. Combat drugs are +1 attack, +1 strength, +2 move, +1 toughness, +1 weapon skill, or +2 leadership. The +1 weapon skill basically, rather than needing 3s to hit, you need 2s to hit. Or if you need 4s to hit, you need 3s to hit. So that's how that's worded anyway, that's how it works. I think it's really good you can choose it. It just basically means if you're taking 1 unit of, I don't know, witches or 1 unit of Reaver jet bikes, you can choose which one is best suited for, you know, for what battle role you want that unit to have. So witches would be a really good +1 strength, make them all strength 4, and that's quite a good option. Bikes are already toughness 4, but if you give them Painbringer, that makes them toughness 5. Yeah, that's really, really helpful. The leadership and the movement are probably the 2 worst ones. But I suppose that they'd have their, they'd have their needs somewhere, I guess. So up the top here, it's just keywords, just mentions about keywords. If you've been playing 40k for a while, you know every army has its own keyword, every unit selection has its own specific keyword. Cabals here, Witch Cult and Homunculus Covens, you can, if everything is got a keyword Cabal, you can change it to have like a specific name. So Cabal of the Black Heart, which is the excuse it gives you here. The reason why that is because for special characters which are in here, it gives you the meaning where they have a specific special rule, where everybody within a certain range gets a rule if they have the special keyword. So Cabal of the Black Heart, if I think Uran Rakarth has a rule where if you have to be a Prophet of Flesh keyword, that means you can turn all the Homunculus Coven units from here. If you take Uran Rakarth, you can change all the Homunculus Coven keywords into Prophets of Flesh, to give them all his special rule. So we're going to go straight on now to the top of the list, which is the Archon. Okay, the Archon comes in at power rating 4. I'm not going to play many power rating games. We can do points. So let's go into the back here. See, flicking through it, which I'm not keen on. An Archon is 54 points base. So he's movement 8, weapon skill 2+, ballistic skill 2+, strength and toughness 3, 5 wounds, 5 attacks, leadership 9 with a 5+ save. The Archon comes with a splinter pistol and a husk blade. Now if you're playing match play, you have to buy them. So splinter pistol I believe is free. Splinter pistol, yeah, free. And a husk blade, which is over this side, is 10 points. You can give him a blaster pistol, you can give him a blaster, phantasm grenade launcher, a splinter pistol obviously, which you pay for, an agonizer, husk blade or power sword. All of which points are in the back here. I'm not going to go into points, I'm just basically going to review the unit and my experience with them. Abilities, he has a power from pain special rule, cool, he gains benefits from the chart. He has a shadow field, he has that as standard now, which is really nice. You don't have to pay for it. I think the previous edition it was 40 points for a shadow field, now you just get it, and it's exactly the same as it was previously. You have a 2+ invulnerable save which cannot be re-rolled for any reason. So even if you use a command point, even if you want to use a command point, you can't. That's how it's worded here. It might be FAQ'd to say that you can re-roll it, but as of at the minute, it looks like you can't. The first time you fail this invulnerable save, the shadow field ceases to function. So rather than actually work until the end of the phase in the previous edition, now as soon as you fail it, you lose it. So that's not great, but it happens. And then his special rule here, his buff special rule basically. All friendly Cabal units that are within 6 inches of this model can use his leadership instead of their own. So that's not too bad. So everything within 6 inches of him is leadership 9. I have used an Archon a couple of times. He is the cheap and cheerful option for Dark Eldar HQs. You can kit him out to be combat orientated. I think that's probably one of the best ways to go, because the power from pain chart is kitted out for him to be, close combat. 2+ invulnerable save, 5 attacks. I wouldn't bother with the husk blade. The husk blade, his strength is user, -2 save, but it does D3 wounds. I mean, the D3 wounds is nice, but the agonizer is strength star, so exactly the same as it used to be. It wounds everything on a 4+, unless it's a vehicle, which is 6+. It's AP -2. It only does 1 damage. The thing is with an agonizer is your strength is you wound everything on 4s. So against a bloodthirster, against a Lord of Change, against a Hive Tyrant, against a Carnifex, against a Wraith Lord, you are wounding them on 4s, and they were all getting -1 save. The Husk Blade is nice because it does D3 damage, but you're only strength 3. So odds are you're wounding everything on 5s, if not 6s. Even a Space Marine Captain you wound on 5s. So the D3 damage is nice, but for guaranteed wounds, the Agonizer's definitely a better choice. Again, the games I've used him in, he's been alright. He's not shined or anything. I think HQs are Dark Eldar's weakest section by far. Some armies that have seen their HQs shine really, really well. But for Dark Eldar, I'm going to say that their HQs they're there because you have to take them. If you have the choice of not bothering taking them, I personally probably wouldn't take any, because they don't particularly shine as well as I believe others do. Hopefully they change that in the Codex. I mean, an Archon is supposed to be like an Archon is like a high Dark Elf noble, Dark Eldar noble who lives high in the spires of Common Ra, so they have access to all these cool gadgets, these weapons of pain and torture that are supposed to be, really, really deadly. The Archons are really devious. They've got a lot of tricks up the sleeve. They're tactically cunning, but in the rules here, they're just really basic, really standard. Again, if you want to take the formations in the rule book, they are literally the cheapest option for you to take if you're going to take one. So next we'll go on to the old, what were they called? Cult. Is it Cult of the Archon? Court. There we go. Court. I've got no. Started with a cult with a C. Cult. Anyway. Yeah. So we're going into the Court of the Archon now. Okay. The first Court of the Archon is the Lamian. I should really keep that marked out in here, so we know how much they are. A Lamian in match play is 32 points. She's power rating 2 if you're playing narrative. She's movement 8, weapon skill 3, ballistic skill 3+, weapon skill 3+, should I say. Strength and toughness 3, 3 wounds, 2 attacks, leadership 8, 5+ save. She comes with a splinter pistol, which we already know is free, and a Shamishi blade. A Shamishi blade. Oh, I hope if I looked in the right one. Is also free. So her points are just straight up. I forgot what they were already. Straight up 32 points. She's actually an elite choice, so there's no more taking Lamians as your HQ. Something that I never did because, you know, why would an entire Dark Eldar army follow a Lamian? They wouldn't. They'd follow an Archon, obviously, or a Homunculus, like they should do. So Splinter Pistol is exactly the same as it was previous edition. 12-inch range. You wound everything on 4+ unless it's a vehicle, which is 6. No AP, damage 1. Shamishi Blade is melee. Strength is obviously star. It's exactly the same as it was. You're wounding everything on 2s unless it's a vehicle, and you wound it on 6s. Each time you roll a 6 with this weapon, other than against a vehicle, that target suffers a mortal wound in addition to any damage. That's pretty cool. So any 6s you roll to wound, the model takes a mortal wound as well. So that's not too bad. Special rules: you've got power from pain. Basically everything everything that's infantry or jump infantry or bikes has power from pain. The only thing that doesn't have power from pain in this book are vehicles. Her other ability is Court of the Archon. And that ability is you can reroll failed hits when this model is within 3 inches of a friendly Cabal Archon. In addition, if your army is battle forged, then for each Archon in your army, you can take up to 4 models with this ability in the same detachment, without taking up any detachment slots. So basically, if you take an Archon, you can take 4 of these elite Court of the Archon models. And they don't take up any elite choices at all, which is a nice little bonus. I don't think you're really going to be taking them anyway. They're not great. They don't, they're not amazing. There's plenty of other options in the Dark Eldar army. I would rather choose. She's like the Archon. She is classed as a character, so she obviously can't join units. She just walks around by herself. As long as you make sure she's not the closest enemy model. Closest to the enemy model, other things are going to take wounds over her. And that's her. Medusa, they took a bit of a hit, unfortunately. People that got Medusa, I know I used to like using them, but unfortunately now they've taken a bit of a hit. They are movement 8, weapon skill 3+, ballistic skill 3+, strength and toughness 3, wounds 3, 1 attack, leadership 8, 5+ save. And their special weapon they had, which was the Eye Burst, it used to be a flame template, which was really nice. It should still be a flame template, but I don't know why it isn't. It's range 9, assault 4, strength 4, -2 AP, 1 damage, no special abilities about it. So Eye Burst is 0 points, so you get that for free. And Medusa is 28 points. Again, they've got power from pain, and they've got Court of the Archon, which is exactly the same rule as the Lamian. Yeah, exactly the same rule as the Lamian. Also a character, so again, keep it close within the Archon. She can reroll fair rolls to hit, so I assume that's to do with shooting as well. So she hits on 3+, and she can reroll that if she's within 3 inches of the Archon. But again, it'd be a lot better if her Eye Burst was like the flame was like the new flamers, but unfortunately it isn't. Then we come to the Silith. I don't actually have any of these. These aren't too bad actually. The Silith. Silith is 44 points, so they've jumped up quite a bit. I believe they used to be 25 points. Their movement 8, weapon skill 3 plus, ballistic skill 3 plus, strength and toughness 5, 4 wounds, 3 attacks, and leadership of 2. With a 5+ save. You're basically going to be keeping this guy close to your Archon, so your Archon gives him the leadership 9 bubble. Comes with a Shard Carbine. Where's that? That is 0 points, which is nice. Splinter Pistol is also 0 points, we know that. And Silith Battle Blade is also 0 points. So he's 44 points base, he comes with all the equipment, that's not too bad. So the Shard Carbine is range 18, assault 3, again wounds everything on a 4+ unless it's a vehicle, so it's 6. Splinter Pistol, we already know what that does. And Silith Blade is strength user, -1 AP, 1 damage. So not too bad. Obviously kitted out for combat. You can use it to shoot as well, he's not too bad at shooting. So special abilities, he doesn't have power from pain. It's one of these rare models that doesn't get power from pain. Insensible to pain, Silith has a 5+ invulnerable save. That's not bad, so you always get your 5+ invuln. That's pretty cool. Cold Bloody Bodyguard, roll a d6 each time an Archon loses a wound whilst they are within 3 inches of this model. On a 2+, the model intercepts a hit. The Archon does not lose a wound, but this model suffers a mortal wound. So that's not too bad. So basically giving your Archon an additional 4 wounds per Silith you have. So yeah, that might make quite a good combat unit maybe. If you have your Archon with a unit of Silith. It's a bit pricey, but you know they're not too bad kitted out. 3 attacks each. Yeah, it's not too bad. Again, there are other better combat units in here, but if you've got Silith, there's still not a bad combat option to take. So by all means, you know, keep taking them. Finally, we're going to go to the Argul, which is at the top there. So the Argul, power rating of 2. He is 30 points. So that's quite a few points for this guy. Let's see what we got for him. Movement 8, weapon skill 3+, no ballistic skill. He doesn't have any shooting weapons, so no big deal there. Strength 4, toughness 3, 3 wounds, 4 attacks, leadership 2, and a 7+ save. So leadership 2, you're going to keep him close to your Archon. 7+ save. That's crap, but you know, some models do have that, unfortunately. Claws and Talons are strength using no AP, 1 damage. I really hope Claws and Talons are free because they're rubbish. Claws and Talons, yeah, they're free. Argul has a 5+ invulnerable save, so your 7+ save is basically ignored. I don't even know why they'd bother putting that there. They'd probably put it there because if he's in cover, he gains +1 to his armor save, so he can have a 6+ armor save. But you're always going to take your invulnerable, so that's ignored. He doesn't have power from pain. Another one of those funny models that doesn't gain power from pain. Ferocious Charge, add +2 to Argul's attack characteristic on the turn that he charges. So when he charges, he actually has 6 attacks, not 4. That's not too bad, but with a combat weapon that has no AP and only does 1 damage, it's not really that great. And then he has a Court of the Archon rule as well. Basically everything that was core to the Archon has now this special rule, this Court of the Archon special rule. So that's it for the Court of the Archon. We're going to a Succubus. She's power rating 4, and a Succubus is 72 points. So she is about 18 points more than an Archon. So what do we get for her? She is movement 8, weapon skill 2+, ballistic skill 2+, strength and toughness 3, 5 wounds, 4 attacks, leadership 8, and a 6+ save. Let's have a look. So the Archon is better attacks, better leadership, and a better save, and is cheaper. So let's hope her special rules make her a lot better. She can have a blast pistol, but as can the Archon. Blast pistol is 10 points. Splinter pistol, Well, I'll tell you what a blast pistol does. Probably help. Blast pistol is 6-inch range, strength 8, -4 AP, D3 damage. So really handy, really good to be up close with that. Obviously, being a 6-inch range means you're going to be up close, but at the end of the day, it's a succubus, so you want to be close in combat. So, and because it's a pistol, you can use it in combat. So if you're locked in combat with a vehicle, you can just use this rather than attack it with your melee stuff. Or you can shoot it with your pistol and then attack it in melee. But yeah, that would be quite a handy one to have, I suppose. Splinter pistol, exactly the same as it was in other for other models. She can have an agonizer, which is exactly the same. We've already gone over that. She can have a arcite glaive. Arcite glaive. I think that's how it's pronounced. The arcite glaive gives her +2 strength, so she's strength 5, -3 AP, which is not bad, and it's only damage 1. When you're attacking with this weapon, you must subtract 1 from the hit rolls. So if you're using that in combat, you're hitting on 3s, you're not hitting on 2s. Let's have a look how much that is. That is free, so it's not too bad. So if that makes it free, it's not a bad option really. But yeah, so hitting on 3s, -3 armor save, only does 1 damage. It'd be nice if it did it'd be nice if it did a flat 2 damage, but unfortunately it doesn't. Or she can have an impaler, which is strength as user, so she's only strength 3. AP -1, and it does 2 damage, so that's not too bad. Impaler. An impaler is 5 points. So I would probably say the arcite glaive is better, because that's going to make a strength 5. Yeah, the arcite glaive is definitely going to be better really for her. Special rules then. She has got power from pain, so the power from pain chart that is kitted out for combat units means she's going to be quite effective in combat. She's got combat drugs, so this is where you can choose your combat drug. Now she is a character, so she's not going to be targeted by shooting attacks, because you're obviously going to hide her behind a unit, or you're going to hide her behind stuff. So the +1 toughness might not benefit her as much. +1 strength might not be great either, because with the arcite glaive she's already got +2 strength anyway, so she's already strength 5. The +1 weapon skill, however, might be quite a good option for her, so it means she's basically hitting on a 1+, but 1s always fail anyway. But with the arcite glaive, where it's -1 to hit, means she's still going to be hitting on 2+. So that might not be a bad option really. Or you might be able to give her the +1 attack. So as rather than having 4 attacks, yeah, she can have that. So rather than having 4 attacks, she's got 5 attacks. So again, that's not too bad really. So if I was going to be taking a succubus, I would probably give her either +1 weapon skill or the +1 attack personally. +1 attack, yeah, +1 attack, +1 weapon skill. Yeah, that's probably what I'd give her if I was taking a succubus. Other special rule she's got is Brides of Death. In the fight sub-phase, you can reroll all hit rolls of 1 made from friendly witch cult units that are within 6 inches of this model. So basically everything that's a witch cult unit, which I believe is Hellions, Reaver Jet Bikes, Witches and Blood Brides, if they're within 6 inches of her, they can reroll hit rolls of 1. That's pretty cool. Lightning reflexes, she has a 4+ invulnerable save. This model has a 4+ invulnerable save. Right, okay, that's pretty cool. So where it used to be she would have an invulnerable save for just being in combat, she now just gets a flat 4+ invulnerable. That's not too bad. Her final special rule is no escape. Roll off if an enemy infantry unit within 1 inch of this model that has this ability wishes to fall back. The enemy unit can only fall back if the player commanding it wins the roll off. So if you are in combat with a unit of Tau 5 warriors and they want to fall back, you and your opponent roll a dice. If you roll a 6, your opponent cannot fall back, because your opponent must beat it. It can't draw it and beat it. It can't, it has to be more. It can't be the same or more. So that's not too bad. So you can basically tie up units in combat. So that's a pretty good rule, actually. It's a shame it's just against infantry models, so infantry units within 1 inch. Yeah, it'd be nice if they could tie up tanks and stuff. That'd be really, really good. That'd be really handy. It'd be nice if they can even take a bit of equipment that could stop tanks from falling back. That'd be pretty cool. But they don't. I've not used a succubus yet either. So like the courts of the Archon, I've not used any of them. I've not used a succubus. She's not a bad choice. She's not the cheapest choice. But if I was going to go complete combat, I would probably take a succubus over an Archon. But I just take Archons at the minute because they're just cheap and cheerful, and the unit choices are where Dark Eldar actually shine. Okay, our first special character, which is Lilith Horsebrex. Okay, Lilith Horsebrex is movement 8, weapon skill 2+, ballistic skill 2+, strength and toughness 3, 5 wounds, 4 attacks, leadership 8 and a 6+ save. She is exactly the same as a succubus, which is really annoying, because Lilith Horsebrex is literally the queen of death, and she is no different than a normal succubus, which sucks balls. So Lilith Horsebrex, what is she then? She is 125 points. I'll help if I can move it into the camera there. So she is 125 points. She has, she can take an Impaler. We already know what an Impaler does and how much extra we have to pay for that. So that's not great. Mane of barbs and hooks. So these are all the stuff that's in her hair. They are strength as user. No AP, damage 1. Each time the bearer fights, it can make 2 additional attacks with this weapon. Okay, so that means she's got 2 free attacks. These attacks don't have any AP. They only do 1 damage, and they're just straight up strength 3. Yeah, wow, that's not that great. And then she's got penetrating blade, which is obviously her nasty daggers and stuff that she uses. These are strength as user. Again, only strength 3. AP -4, 1 damage. A model armed with 2 penetrating blades can make 1 additional attack with them each time it fights. So you basically, if you're using 2 knives, you gain 1 additional attack. So you're on 5 attacks. Okay, well, abilities then. Power from pain, combat drugs. Combat drug wise, she's not got anything that gives her any additional strength, so the combat drug you're going to give her is definitely +1 strength. I mean, strength 3 is just... It's a difference between wounding a toughness 6 vehicle on a 5 or a 6. The difference between wounding a space marine on a 5 or a 4. So you're basically going to be taking that +1 strength every day with her. Wow, she's not that great, really. Okay, she's got another special rule, which is a league apart. Lilith Horsebrex rerolls all failed hit and to wound rolls when attacking enemy characters in the fight subphase. So at least she can reroll hits. I mean, she's hitting on 2s anyway, so that's not such a big deal. The big thing is rerolling wounds as well. Being only strength 3 means you're really going to need that rerolling wounds, and it's only against enemy characters. So you're really going to want to take that +1 strength, I think, for her. Brides of Death, which I believe is exactly the same. Yeah, it's exactly the same rule. So in the fight phase, you can reroll ones to hit made from a friendly witch cult of strife. This is where the whole changing the keyword comes into play, because obviously a special character Lilith is actually the leader of the cult of strife. So you change all of your witch cult unit keywords to cult of strife. She's also got no escape, which is exactly the same as a succubus, and quicksilver dodge. She has a 3+ invulnerable save rather than a 4+ invulnerable save. So she's really not that great. I would choose a succubus over her every day of the week. And I actually think a succubus against her in combat would probably do quite well. It has one less invulnerable save, but yeah, really not that keen on the Lilith Horsebreaks. Nice model. Yeah, again, a really poor selection of HQs really here for the Dark Eldar. Finally, well, not finally here, we've got a couple more to go actually. At the bottom of this page we've got a Homunculus. Homunculus for me is probably one of the better HQs for all of the Dark Eldar HQ choices. I'll get to why very shortly. So, Homunculus have movement 7, weapon skill 2+, ballistic skill 2+, strength 3, toughness 4, wounds 5, attacks 5, leadership 8, and a 6+ save. So he is roughly the same as an Archon, apart from he's got 1 less leadership, 1 less movement, but he's got a better toughness. A Homunculus, I believe, is about 60 odd points. Homunculus, tell a lie, he's 75 points. And he comes with a Splinter Pistol, which is obviously free, we know that already, and Homunculus tools. Homunculus tools are 1 point. I know this because I used him in a game yesterday. So we know what a Splinter Pistol already does, and Homunculus tools are strength as basically poison, so he wins everything on a 4+, and he wins vehicles on 6s, AP 0, damage 1. He can take extra weapons, so weapons of torment or tools of torment. So he can take like liquefier guns, shredder pistol, and hex rifle, or he can take, which is his best option, an agonizer. He can take an electro whip as well, which I believe isn't too bad. Let's flip to the weapons section. Is it called an electro whip? No, it's not. It won't be attacked by a fly. So yeah, there we go. That's same as it was previously. So wins everything on 4s, vehicles on 6s. That's -2 save, which an agonizer is anyway, but it is 2 damage, not 1 damage. So that's probably a better option, really, having that whip. And that whip is 8 points. So that isn't too bad. Yep, you can take one of them. So really, he's probably a better combat option than the Archon, actually. He's got power from pain, so obviously kitted out for combat. He has a 5+ invulnerable save. That's his only downside. It's just a 5+ invulnerable. It's not, it's nothing to sneeze about, but it'd be better if it was, if you could increase that, but you can't. He's got master from pain, so add +1 to any toughness of friendly Homunculus Coven units within 6 inches of one or more of this models with this ability. So everything with the Homunculus Coven's keyword has +1 toughness within 6 inches of him, which is amazing because it can even affect vehicles that have got the Homunculus Coven keyword. So your Venoms that are only toughness 5 are actually now toughness 6. Your Raiders, which are toughness 5, are now toughness 6. It is it's an awesome buff. Grotesques, toughness 5 base, are now toughness 6. Racks that are toughness 4 base are now toughness 5. It is an awesome ability. He's not like, I'm not going to rant and rave about him saying how amazing the Homunculus is, but out of all the HQ choices, he's, in my eyes, the best option to take, really. He also has a Crucible of Malediction, and this is a Homunculus with a Crucible of Malediction can unleash its contents once per battle. In its psychic phase, if it does so, roll a d6 for each enemy psycho within 12 inches of this model. On a 4+, the unit being rolled suffers D3 mortal wounds. So that's every psyker within 12 inches, you roll a dice, and on a 4+, they take D3 mortal wounds. Unit armies that are psyker heavy, it's going to cripple them. You know, Grey Knights, it's going to make Grey Knights have a very bad day. And it's just literally a 12-inch bubble. So if you're moving him up the field, combat orientated with grotesques or racks or whatever, you know, he's going to be really, really good. He's by far the best option for me. Yesterday I took him. I only had enough points for an agonizer. He didn't really do much in the game, but just that bubble, that bubble of giving everything +1 toughness was a real big help. So for me, the homunculus is the best option really for Dark Eldar HQs, which isn't great because, you know, the Archon should be, because he is in charge of the whole the whole raid into real space, but hey ho. Okay, then we'll go on to Urim Rakarth. I've already spoken about him pretty much. He is movement 7, weapon skill, ballistic skill 2+, strength 3, toughness 5. So he's got one up on the homunculus. 5 wounds, which is the same. He's got 4 attacks, which is less than the homunculus, because a homunculus has 5 attacks. Leadership 8, save 6+. Here's a casket of fencing, which he gets for free. That's 12-inch range, assault 2d6, strength 3, AP -2, and only does 1 damage. This weapon can only be fired once. If they took that rule away, it would be, it'd be quite a good little shooting ability. It's only strength 3, so I don't even know why they only let you use it once. It's if they only let you use it once, I reckon it should have been better. It should have been at least strength 4, and doing like a straight 2 damage or something. But it's something that you're going to forget. It's not really that great. If he comes with homunculus tools, which we've covered already, and he's got an Ichor injector, which I believe is free as well for him. And like a fool, I lost a page. Yep, it's basically his own. Is it? Ichor injector, no, that's 5 points. Urim Rakarth is 112 points. I should have covered that as well, but I didn't. I forgot. So he has power from pain, clone field. He has his invulnerable save is actually 4+, not 5+. So it's a little bit better survivability wise. Contempt of Death. You can reroll failed save rolls for Urim Rakarth against attacks that have strength 9 or less. So your 4+ invulnerable save, you can re-roll it against attacks at 9 or less. It's not bad actually, it's pretty good. So it has a Master of Pain special rule, which gives all friendly Coven units within 6 inches +1 toughness. You've got to change the keyword again to Prophets of Flesh, but still it's basically exactly the same rule. But between this and a normal homunculus, I'd probably take the normal homunculus because he's slightly cheaper. He's not got the same survivability, so he's not toughness 5, he doesn't have the 4+ invulnerable that you can re-roll, but as a cheaper option, the normal homunculus is really good, and you can give him better combat attacks. So for me, the homunculus is still the better HQ option. And then finally we have the final special character, which is Drazar. And power rating 7. Drazar is 140 points. And he is movement 7, weapon skill, ballistic skill 2+, strength and toughness 4, 5 wounds, 4 attacks, leadership 9 with a 2+ save. This is the only model in the book with a 2+ save. He only has 4 attacks. Unfortunately, I wish he had more, but oh well. That's what, you can do what you can do. Okay. He's armed with the Demiclaves. So each time the model fights, choose the profile which you want to use. Now if he uses it single-handed, he's at +1 strength, -3 AP, but only does 1 damage. So he's at max, makes him strength 5. It's not too bad. Or you can do dual blades, which is strength as user, so he's only strength 4. It's only -2 AP, so it's not as good. Oh dear. Ooh. It was a late night last night. And then the special abilities for using them dual blades. A model attacking with dual blades can make 2 additional attacks in each fight phase. So rather than having 4 attacks, he actually has 6 attacks if you're using dual bladed. So you're basically sacrificing your +1 strength to gain +2 attacks. I suppose it depends what you're fighting. If you're fighting guardsmen, you're going to be happy with having the +2 attacks. Everything that's toughness 3, you're going to be happy with the +2 attacks, because you're going to be wounding them on 3s. Yeah, everything that's toughness 3, you're going to be wounding on 3s. And then everything else that is toughness 4 or above, you're going to be obviously taking the +1 strength, so single-handed. Special rules, he's got power from pain. Jolly good, because power from pain's kitted out for combat, and he is kitted out for combat. He's got a 5+ avoidable save, which is good. So that's pretty good actually. 5+ avoidable save and a 2+ normal save. So Master of Blades. Add 1 to hit rolls for all friendly Incubi units that are within 6 inches of Drazar. So all Incubi units that are within 6 inches of him hit on 2s, not 3s. And then finally here, he's got Murderous Assault. Each time Drazar rolls a wound roll of a 6+ in the fight phase, he may make 1 additional attack. These attacks cannot generate any additional attacks. So any 6s to wound that you roll, he gains an additional attack, which is quite good, because obviously if you're making him use dual blades, he's got 7 attacks. The odds are that he's going to roll at least, odds wise, he's going to roll at least 1 6. That's an additional attack. So yeah, he's not a bad choice either. Combat wise, I'd still go for the Archon, for the simple fact that he's slightly cheaper and his weapon does 2 damage and it wins everything on 4s. So yeah, still quite a big fan of the homunculus. Can the Archon take that? No. No, it can't. That's a shame. So that is it for my HQs for Dark Eldar. My own personal preference from what I've done now, I played a mini tournament yesterday. So that was, I don't know when I'm going to get this video out, but that was 4 games. I took a homunculus, and he didn't do amazingly. He didn't shine. It wasn't like MVP of the game or anything, but just that steady buff of giving all of my homunculus vehicles, which obviously I only took vehicles, giving them all +1 toughness. It was a big bonus. He didn't get into combat at all. In fact, did he get into combat? Yeah, he did. He did get into combat with a Herald of Khorne on Juggernaut, but unfortunately I rolled really poorly and he died. But it happens. So out of all the HQs there, I think the homunculus is really good. The Archon is a really good cheap option if you have to take a HQ. So if you think about it, there's certain formations where you need 2 HQs and 3 troops. I think it's the main one. Is it Battle Line Formation, Battle Forge Formation, something like that. That's minimum 2 HQs, minimum 3 troops, and that's for 3 command points. So you can take a homunculus to give homunculus coven units +1 toughness, and then the Archon just because he's cheap and cheerful. So that is it for my quick index review and my Dark Eldar HQ review. I will do other reviews on the rest of the Dark Eldar, talking about my own experience, what I like, what I don't like. We will go on to troops next, and possibly in the same video I will do I'll probably do elites if I can. Maybe elites or fast attack. Anyway, one of the two. See if I can squeeze them all into 3 videos rather than a video per choice. So that's it for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll speak to you guys next time. Toodaloo.